So today's exercise is going to be to build a front end static HTML page that works with our user registration system. So a user right now we can add a new user, essentially register a user by hitting this back-end route, but we do not have any sort of front end. So I want to show you guys how to build a static front end for our back-end route, which is /head. So this is pretty cool because this is the first time that we're really kind of doing something full stack, right? We've kind of built up the back end. We have not built the front end yet. This is one way of doing that. Now, to kind of go back through some stuff that we've done, to kind of serve up static files with Express, you go to their Getting Started docs and you kind of go to static files, and we get a middleware function called app.use express static public. Okay, it says, for example, use the following code to serve images, files, and JavaScript files in a directory named public. So I'm going to just go ahead and bring that in to my source code on my server.js. And so we declare app, and I'll go ahead and say app.use express.static public. It says now you can load files that are in the public directory, like images and style sheets and HTML files. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead and make a public folder. I don't have a public folder. Again, this is just steps that you would take along the way. You want to make this in the root. Yeah. So the next kind of thing is, okay, now that we have this route, this default route, let's just see if I make a file. So I'm going to call it index.html. Okay, and I think we have a bootstrap template here because I have this bootstrap snippet tool extension. So I'm going to hit bootstrap 5, and I'm just going to hit tab, and that's going to fill in a bootstrap template for me. Again, you could just go to the bootstrap docs and bring in a bootstrap template, and I'm just going to put in an h1. This is my home page. And if I kind of boot this up, npm run start dev. Okay, so my backend is booted, and if I kind of control click, it does serve up, this is my home page. Now that's because it's named index.html. You know, I do think if it was named something else, I don't know that it would automatically serve this up. But let's go ahead and make another page called Register.html. Okay, and I'll bring in bootstrap template here, and I will just say h1, this is my user registration page. Okay, and if I kind of refresh, it's showing me index by default, which is cool, but if I go to /register.html, you can see I hit my user registration page. All right, wonderful. Right, so I've got an index page, a home page, and if I jump forward, I've got a register.html. So we're serving static files out of the public folder, and we can hit these two things. If you want to make a good looking bootstrap thing quickly, you're probably using a template of some sort. if you just Google something like register form bootstrap 5, there's all sorts of code snippets that are out there where you can find registration forms. I'm feeling a little pinkish today. How about that? We'll use this registration form right here. Show code and copy. Now, you know, there's a lot going on here. So you may do this, okay? Before I do this, let me just code up a very basic registration form, okay? So instead of starting with a whole bunch, I'll start with a little. Okay, I'm gonna have a form tag. And if I just use the emit snippet, this is gonna be a form post. Okay, so I have a form, action is blank, method is post. Well, what's my route to my backend? Because that's what we're gonna put in action. We're gonna put the route to the backend. Well, it's, if I'm not mistaken, slash, let's look at the route, slash API slash users slash add, if I'm not mistaken. If I go to my backend routes, I got slash add. So let's put that full route there, slash API. This is in my register page here. Slash API slash, did I say users or user singular? What did I say? Users plural slash add. So I'm gonna post to this route, right? I'm gonna post to this back end. I'm gonna have a label and an input type of text. Okay, and what does my backend expect? I did not, okay. My backend for users expects what? Does it, let me, rec.body. I think it's just an email and a password. Let me go to my Postman and see what my backend is expecting. I think it's just an email and a password. Yeah. So if I go to add new user, there's my route. Full name, email, and password. That's what my backend is expecting. So if I go to my front end, register, my ID is text full name, label for text full name, and this is going to say enter your full name, and I'm going to call the name attribute. Now, this name attribute is very important. The name attribute is what is going to be sent to the back end. So what am I expecting on the back end? I'm expecting a property called full name, lowercase f, capital N. So my name attribute is full name, just how it is on Postman, right? This is going to send whatever is in this control to the back end, and that those variables or those identifiers need to match. Okay, I'm gonna wrap these things in a div just to get a line break kind of thing going on, and I'll text that over. Okay, and then I'll do another one, div with a label and an input. Now this is a type of email, and this is text email, and my backend is expecting the identifier of email, and label for txt email, enter email. Okay, third div is for password, label for txt password, enter password, input type of password, txt password, name, password. Because we're in Bootstrap, let's add some Bootstrap classes, okay? So my class for a Bootstrap should be form control. If I go to get Bootstrap, I go to the docs, it should be form control. Let's go down to forms, over a form control. So you can see that the class for a label is form-label, and the class for a text box or email box is form-control. So form-label, form-control. So let's add some Bootstrap classes. This is a class of form label. Label. This is a class of form-control. This one, class of form label. This is a class of form control. This is a class of form label. This is a class of form control. Get a little bit of Bootstrap styling on there. Okay, Control S. Let me go back and refresh. Okay, this is my user registration page. Pretty ugly, okay? Your exercise is going to be to make it pretty, okay? I would probably start by, well, you know, you could do things like div with a class of container, kind of have a container div wrapping the entire body. Right, get everything inside of a container. Refresh, okay, kind of get things in a container going. Add some colors, add some images, etc. Now, what are we missing? We're missing a submit button. That's why this form tag isn't happy yet. We need a submit button. So let's have a div input type of submit. Has to be a submit button if it's going to register user. Class is button primary. It's a self-closing tag. Wants just to use a button type of submit, which is fine. In which case a button type of submit has a closing button, which will say register user. Okay? So we change this to a button tag, has a closing button. The button says register user. It's a type of submit. Refresh this now, just to demonstrate bare bones what's going on here. If I connect into my Mongo cluster and I look at my Retro Amazon users, I've got one user. Let's register Bob Duncan and see what breaks. bobduncan@gmail.com. Password is his password. I'm gonna click submit, and my browser doesn't like my poor password. I'm not gonna save it, but it does say user added. Okay, now I'm not handling that, like what happens next, but you could see it went to that route. Let's in fact refresh and see that Bob Duncan is now registered as a customer. Heyo. Full stack, pretty cool stuff. What else can we do here? Adding images is not as easy as it seems, unfortunately, when you want to do this. Let's find a, I don't know, let's just find rankin.edu, right? Let's just find a Rankin image, right click. Let's go to Google. Let's search for Rankin. let's find an image that we want to bring in, save image as. I'm going to save this image to my repo, which is retro Amazon backend public. I'll go ahead and make an images folder just to make it more complex. Let's put my images in here and call this rankinlogo.jpg. So now kind of going back here, I've got an images directory. And so you might think, oh, hey, let's put a Rankin logo here. Let's do image source equals, well, like as we typically do, slash images slash Rankin logo.png. And it wants an alt attribute. That's cool. Alt equals Rankin logo. And that says expected ending tag instead of self-closing. Well, that's silly. We're going to do a self-closing image tag. I don't know why. Ending image tag. Who does that? What are you talking about? That's silly. I'm not sure what my linter is saying here. But let's kind of go back and see that images aren't as easy, unfortunately. Who did I work with getting images? Was it Trey? Trey, did I work with images with you?
I forgot.
Oh, come on.
Maybe.
I think I know how to do it.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember. Hold on. So here, because it's in, let me pause here real quick. Okay, user error. The user error that I experienced was that I had a JPEG, not a PNG. So I changed my source code to match the name of the file, and it did serve my image as exactly you would otherwise. I also think I had an extra slash here, which wasn't necessary. James, what's up?
I'm getting some air I wasn't getting yesterday.
Okay, I'll be right with you. Okay, so here's the exercise here. We're going to start in the next 20 minutes or so. You guys are going to build out a register front end, just mock something up, right? Just have fun, add some colors, add some CSS, add some images, do some positioning, get a working front end for a register back end. And then that'll be fun. That'll be a fun way to spend an hour.